To this little introduction about meetings without masks online. I'm Bethan.
And I'm Ed. So meetings without masks online is a new way to meet people. And the more conventional ways of dating or meeting people often really involve selling ourselves, of really trying to be a particular way, of putting a face on. So meetings without masks is really about coming back to being more authentic, and within the process of meeting people, actually being real and connecting on a real level.
Yeah, often the whole process of dating seems to be about selling ourselves rather than getting to be who we really are. And it's so important. We think it's really important to be able to just be your whole self when you turn up in a dating environment. And yeah, we're going to talk about how that works, how we help create that, and what it can do for your confidence.
So obviously right now we're locked down, and just to let you know, when we're not locked down, Bethan and I run a series of workshops, residential or non-residential workshops, when we're not locked down.
Yeah, and one of those is meetings without masks itself. And so this is a different form of it. Usually when we're doing it in person, it's a whole day workshop, but obviously it'd be a bit much to be on Zoom for the whole day.
So let's say a little bit about ourselves. My background is in psychology. I trained in hypnotherapy and shadow work, and I've also been quite involved with Buddhist meditation. So I'm really bringing those elements into all the work that I offer, the workshops that I do, and my coaching work. I do workshops for men as well as mixed workshops. And yeah, I'd really say that the most important thing about my work is about connection. Everything I do has got that line running through it about creating more connection, both with yourself and with the people around you.
Yeah. And my background was actually originally as a health professional. And I've certified as an Alexander Technique teacher and a shadow work coach, and I've done shadow work group facilitation. And as well as the workshops that we do, I offer shadow work coaching and wholeness coaching. And I've done some yoga teacher training and have quite an interest in the whole sort of non-duality side of things. So the theme for me is this wholeness and being able to be our whole selves and to accept ourselves. So that's a bit about what we each bring.
And of course, we've both trained extensively with Jan Day as well. For those of you who don't know, Jan offers a lot of workshops on the themes of relationship and intimacy.
Yeah. She's known as the relationship expert, isn't she?
Yeah.
And she's the one who devised the day workshop, Meetings Without Masks. And she's really supportive of us doing this. You know, we run Meetings Without Masks in person usually, as Ed said. And we said to her, you know, we've got this idea to bring it online while we can't, you know, while everyone's having to stay at home. And yeah, she's really supportive of that.
And the drive behind us doing this is we were hearing from a lot of people that there's a lot of people who are in relationship at the moment and they've decided to move in together. And if you're living with someone, that's one thing. But if you're at the point where perhaps it's the spring and you're just feeling ready to get out there and meet someone new, and then we've gone into this lockdown, a lot of people were feeling really disillusioned with that. And with the current dating technologies, it doesn't really offer a platform where you can actually really connect with someone whilst we're in this lockdown situation. So that's why we've created this workshop and put this workshop out.
Yeah. And it's like an antidote, hopefully, to this thing where in dating, my experience, I know many people's experience, is that going on a date would be a process of like showing my best self so that I could sell myself to this person. And actually then with the whole online dating, with the profiles and all of that sort of stuff, it actually intensified that thing of how I had to yeah, really sell myself to people, which wasn't very comfortable.
Yeah, I think that dating, a lot of the dating technologies are really about creating an image. So it's like, how can I put myself out there to try and get someone? So people spend a lot of time creating their profile or choosing that photo that makes them look just right. So we're kind of going the opposite way around with this.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing about looking just right, that was a real thing for me with creating dating profiles and so on, because I think as a woman, I know this is the same for you know, most people these days probably, but I really felt from my teens, I was aware of this pressure to look a certain way, and I don't really conform to the way I'm meant to look as a woman. And so that was really difficult. And for instance, I'm horrifically unphotogenic. So getting a photo of me that even looked like me was really difficult. So I didn't feel like I could put myself across at all.
Mm. And I think for men, it's true for men as well. There is a thing about looking right, physically looking right. And I think the other thing that's really important for men is in terms of performance. So they want to look like they're performing in the right way. And that varies depending on what social frame you're involved with. So it might be more traditionally that you're strong, solid, that you earn a lot of money, or if you're more new agey, it might be that you're emotionally in tune, that you can kind of handle feelings and you're sensitive and soft. But whatever it is, there's often a thing in guys where they're trying to perform in a way, and in a way trying to be perfect or make themselves look like that perfect guy when they're dating.
Hmm. Yeah, and then the flip side to that, you know, I was talking about how it was for me, feeling like I had to project a certain image. Also, I noticed that I don't respond particularly to the pictures of someone and necessarily like what their interests are. I respond to who someone actually is. So it's this awful situation, really, with getting to the physically meeting for a date part with the online dating, I would find, where I had created this sort of shiny self with all of my best aspects forward, and he had possibly done the same, and we would meet, and of course we're just two real people with all of our wonderful sides and all of the bits that we don't like about ourselves. And the problem is that we could keep that up to an extent, but then of course if a relationship develops, it's not really grounded in something that's real, and all these aspects of ourselves are going to come out at some point, and the bits about ourselves that we find difficult or challenging are definitely, you know, all our buttons get pressed once we get into an intimate relationship. And so the problem with trying to sort of be our best selves the whole time is that we can't know, when it does seem like we're getting some love, we can't know that it's real, that actually we're being loved for who we are, as opposed to the sort of slight pretense that we're trying to keep up.
So we think that image, the physical image on a photograph, or the image that's presented in a dating profile, isn't necessarily going to be conducive for finding the person who is your best match. It's so often you'll see a photo of someone. I've certainly had that experience where I see a photo of a woman and then I get to meet her, and she's actually really, really different when she's there in the flesh.
Mm. Yeah, and the other thing the other thing about that is that we all have sort of filters and the sort of people that we tend to be attracted to. And unfortunately, what that can mean is that it's quite likely that we will choose someone where we'll go into the same sort of patterns with each other, the same dynamics as we have experienced in the past. And yeah, often unconsciously, we will actually choose someone where we can't get into a relationship where we can both meet each other in our wholeness. So we're trying to offer the possibility of meeting someone where that is possible.
Yeah, for me, that's definitely true of me historically. I definitely had a type. So I had a type that I'd automatically go for. So I would walk into a room and I'd already have ruled out a lot of the women because there was a particular type of woman who I decided was right for me. And in reality, the types of women that I was going from weren't very conducive for creating stable relationships. I was actually actively picking women who there wasn't a very good match. And we developed these instinctive ways of choosing and thinking it's the right thing for us. And so this really invites a different possibility of exploring new options. Maybe not going with your first instinct, but going with your second or your third or fourth instinct, like exploring other things that are there.
Mm. Yeah. So meetings without masks, whether it's online or in person, is all about being able to show up exactly as you are that day, in that moment, with whatever's going on for you. You know, without having to have the right conditions and the right mood and all of that sort of thing. And, you know, we know that it can sound and it can sometimes be a bit scary to risk that, to doing something different and dropping the masks and just letting ourselves show up as we are. And so what we bring, what we offer is like a place where you can actually drop into that, so that there's quite a bit of depth available, but we also try and bring lightness and fun to it, so it doesn't have to be like hard work and terribly serious.
Mm. And because we've set out from the beginning with this intention to create a space that is all about authenticity, and everyone who is coming because on some level they've got that desire to connect in a real way, we're creating a space where it's really welcoming of that, where it's really welcoming of people being real and maybe showing parts of themselves that they wouldn't normally show. And the structure of the workshop, we've ensured that instead of having that awkward silence of not really knowing what to do, we've got a series of explorations during the evening where you get to explore little things that you might learn about yourself whilst having a connection with someone else. So there's none of those awkward silences.
Mm. Yeah, so it's a lot about exploring and discovering, and we really encourage you, as much as is okay for you at the time, is to try out new things. And one of the things that can then be discovered is actually this freedom, the freedom of being able to go into these sorts of situations just as yourself and with like a whole new set of possibilities, really.
Mm. And the other thing that it gives you, really being yourself, is you get to experience yourself in relationship, because every little person you meet during the course of the evening, you're getting to be really you. So you get to know about how you are in relationship. And from that, you can learn a lot about yourself and learn a lot about the skills and what's important for you in relating with someone.
Yeah, and there's another thing, which is that you might get to find out what it is that people see in you that they really like. And it, for many people, it can sometimes be a bit surprising. I know for me, one of the real learnings has been that there's sort of aspects of me that I would really much rather keep completely hidden, because I think they're sort of disgusting, I suppose. And actually that's the things that some of the people who really love me, it's a lot of why they love me.
Mm. For me, growing up, I've always been a really sensitive guy, and for a long time I thought my sensitivity wasn't okay. So I always would try and hide my sensitivity and try and look a little bit more solid and less sensitive, you know, like a more solid kind of guy, like I imagined women wanted me to be. And then what I've discovered over the years through connecting is that sensitivity is so welcome. So that's an example, but there's so many things, and we all do it, that we kind of keep hidden away. And the process of relating in an authentic way gives a chance for those to come out and be seen, so you can discover what you're hiding might be really welcome.
Yeah. In a way, I think what we're saying is that the things like speed dating and online dating are kind of all about the numbers. And I remember clearly someone saying to me, oh yeah, you know, like online dating, you've just got to keep at it, it's all about the statistics. And there was something about, you know, like if I looked at enough profiles and all of this sort of stuff, eventually I would find the one. And even that's a number, isn't it, that there's one. I don't believe that there is this one, this elusive one that we need to find. Again, it's really about widening out our field of vision and who's available to us. And with Meetings Without Masks, we're not about numbers at all. We're really about the human side, the people. We're about letting you be the person that you really are.
Mm. So that you can grow as you, so you can be you and experience you and grow as you and get confident at being you in the way you relate, rather than having to wear a mask every time you go out there to meet someone.
And when you come to the Meetings Without Masks online, and hopefully, you know, at some point we'll be back to doing it in person. Well, we will be at some point. But, you know, when you come to that, we really encourage you to come with this just openness to your experience, because the possibility of what you can take away is, like Ed said about the confidence, but also kind of tools and possibilities that you can take into any dating scenario, so that it's not just limited to, will I meet someone on this evening or on this day? It's like you've got something a lot longer lasting than that.
Mm. So in our invitation, we're really inviting all of you on this workshop, all the parts of you that are excited, the parts of you that are a bit scared, all of the little reactions and responses you have in meeting other people. All of that is really welcome on this workshop.
Yeah, I second that. And yeah, if you have any questions, then do feel free to put them in the chat. We meant to say that at the beginning, didn't we? Is put them in the chat, and
Oh, yeah.
we'll answer them as best we can. I mean, yeah, we're used to doing this together, aren't we?
So we've got one, which is what kind of men come on this workshop? So I'll answer that, seeing as I am one. We often find that the men who come, I've done some personal development work, some emotional opening already. So they've, you know, the kind of men who would be in men's circles, or maybe they've experienced their own emotional landscape themselves by reading, inquiring in that way. They're kind of emotionally developed, and they're looking for something a bit different than your average speed dating. They're looking for somewhere where they can be as real with their women as they are with their men in their men's circles.
Actually, that question, my first response when I saw that question was, interesting men come to Meetings Without Masks. That's my experience. Yeah. And there's a question about the geography. Is this in reality a Bristol and London event? So yeah, they're the places where we currently run the Meetings Without Mask Day. Well, I suppose currently we don't, do we? But it's where we were doing and where we will go back to. And no, our invitation with online is really, you know, with dropping the thing of trying to find the one, and goodness knows when we're going to be able to meet up in person anyway, is really about getting interested in other people and ourselves, and learning and practicing. And it also means that we can widen it out, because we do often get inquiries about, you know, for instance, I had a little spate where people seem to be saying, oh, you know, do you do this in the Northeast at all? And I kept writing back going, I'm really sorry, you know, when we've got enough interest, we'll be able to set it up. But now people can come along, you know, if you're in the Northeast, you're really welcome, come along, try it out. And it really doesn't matter where you're based.
Great. And a question about the who you meet and how people are paired. So our the way that we do this on the workshop is it's a computerized algorithm, and it's completely random. So you might meet anyone, you get partnered up, and yeah, you meet a series of people over the course of the evening.
Oh, yeah. So here's one. I get really nervous about going to these sorts of things. How's that going to work? So hopefully you've kind of got the thing that we're saying about however you show up is welcome. So it's that thing of, you don't need to hide the nervousness. You don't need to be any different to that. You can come along with all of that, bring the nervousness, and you'll get the opportunity to be honest about it and to say, oh, you know, I'm feeling really nervous. And that usually in itself will start to build a connection.
And a question about gender balance. That's a good one. A lot of people want to know about that. So have we got a gender balance group for the next one? I believe we do, don't we?
Yeah, because we're fully booked, aren't we?
Yeah,
And yes, there is.
We always try to ensure that there is a gender balance, and with this it's always booking out, so we've got a good balance. And also on our tickets we do have a binary option, a non-binary option. So yeah.
And again, this is slightly different. So on the day workshops, we always make sure that we have a gender balance as much as is possible. You know, it's like we do what's humanly possible. And with the online, what we really want to do is to see eventually if we can open it out a lot more. So we're going to kind of see where it goes and where it takes us, because we're getting all these different kind of inquiries and requests. So we want to be as responsive as we can. So yeah, we had no thoughts of doing this online until we turned into this whole stay-at-home situation. And it, as Ed said, it was that kind of hearing from people how upsetting that was, and then realizing actually there was a lot of energy out there for this. Yeah.
So we've got a question about what's the structure for the on Zoom for Meetings Without Masks. So if we told you exactly what happened, it would be incredibly boring, because you would know. So part of the excitement is the fun of what happens. But just to give you an idea, there is some parts of it that we do in the main group, and a lot of it you'll be working either in a small group, but for much of it you'll be paired up, and you'll be working in different pairs. You'll never work with the same person more than once. And so there's little explorations that you do with your pair, and then we always come back to the main group, and there's a chance for discussion and exploration, because the little explorations we do, they always touch things in people about relating, so they can learn from them. So we take the chance to explore the learnings as a group. Is there anything you want to add, Becky?
Not about the structure particularly, but just about how useful it is, this kind of being in a group, because obviously in a dating scenario, I suppose on speed dating, there's that whole like you're all shifting around, but you don't I never got the sense of sort of being there as a whole group. I'd generally go with a friend or two, so I'd have that. But yeah, when we're doing the meetings without mass online and in person, then it can be so valuable. It's like when somebody says what's happened for them, or we hear someone sharing something that's come up and what it's touched in them. So often there's something in there that we can learn as well. And when we're willing to say, oh, actually I've just seen this, then it's usually very helpful for at least 2 or 3 other people in the room. So we can really help each other. It's a really supportive environment.
Mm. And I've been really surprised by what we can actually do with the Zoom, with the technology, and it is really possible to create real connection, and it's lovely to feel that in the group. And it's definitely felt like that when we've run it, when there is a real sense of connection by the end, with a group of people who might not really know any of the other people at the start.
Yeah, and actually that's some of the feedback we had, isn't it? Is that people have been saying, oh, I'm really surprised that I could make a real connection through this medium. So it seems it is possible. Hooray!
And another question, this is a good question. So how do you connect after the event with someone on it? So we have a modality, we have a technology which enables you to communicate with people, and I don't want to give away too much. Have some communication with them. So there is an option towards the end of each workshop, should you want it, of spending some more time with people. I don't think I should say anymore.
Yeah, I think keeping things as surprises keeps a bit of like magic in it, doesn't it? And just to say, we do also support you and facilitate the possibility of being able to connect fully in consent on both sides after the event is over as well. So yeah.
Can you say more about what you mean by consent? Because some people watching might not know.
Oh, yes, yeah. So what we're not going to do is hand out a whole list of people's phone numbers. What we do is we make it possible, we really want you in all of your dating experiences and all of your relationship experiences to be true to what's okay for you and what's not, and to be able to communicate that. And that includes, for instance, if someone would like to go on a date with me, I need to be able to say thank you, no, if that's what's true for me, and I can do that in a kind way. So yeah, again, without giving away the magic, there is a way where you'll be able to ask people if they'd like to either go on a date, and also actually one of my really good friends I met when I went as a participant to Meetings Without Mass, and I was very clear. It's like I like a lot about you, and I'd like a friendship if that's what unfolds, and that was what happened. So it's not all about just the date. It's like yeah, just being able to connect on all sorts of different levels. It might be that you just think, oh, this person really has something that I'd like to learn.
Great. I don't think I've got anything else to say. Have you got anything else to say, Bethany?
I mean, you know me, I would talk about this all night, but I think we've covered the basics, unless there's any other questions that are going to pop up.
Doesn't look like there are.
Well, they can always be on the Facebook page and we can answer them there.
Yeah, and just to say, if you do have a question after this finishes, or if you're watching this later on and you have a question, then please do get in touch. You'll see there's a link to the Meetings Without Masks page, and I believe there's links to mine and Bethan's websites, and there you'll find our contact details. So it's fine to give us an email, ask us what you'd like to know about this. We're really willing to talk about it, and our other workshops.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, right. Shall we say goodbye for now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be lovely to see you at one of these you know, on the computer screen, in person, however it unfolds.